Winter 1942, not the kind you see in movies, the kind where your breath freezes before leaving your lips. In a small Soviet village lived an ordinary boy. His name was Artyom. He was 12, cheerful, innocent. He had no idea that war was about to steal everything from him. No idea that his name would one day make grown men cry. Artyom lived with his mother in a tiny wooden house. His father went to war a year ago. No letters came back. Every night his mother kissed his forehead and said, "Tomorrow will be better." She lied to protect him, but tomorrow never came, not the way she hoped. One morning the sky turned black, not with clouds. With German planes, dozens of them, the villagers looked up in disbelief. Some prayed, some screamed. Artyom was fetching water when he heard it, the whistling of falling bombs, then the first explosion. His life split into two parts. Before that sound and after, explosions tore through the village. Houses collapsed like paper. Children screamed for mothers who couldn't hear them. Mothers screamed for children they couldn't find. Artyom saw his neighbor running with her arms on fire. She didn't scream, she just ran until she fell. The village became hell in minutes. Artyom ran toward his house. His mother was inside. A bomb hit their roof. The explosion threw him backward. His ears rang. His mouth tasted blood. When he opened his eyes, everything was dust and smoke. He crawled through broken wood. He heard a weak cough. His mother. They were both trapped under the rubble. His mother was dying. He felt her blood on his fingers. Her breathing was shallow. With her last strength, she pulled him close. Her lips moved near his ear. "Artyom, live for me. Don't give up. Survive, my son." Then her hand went cold. She died in his arms. He was 12 years old and completely alone. He held her cold hand for hours. He didn't cry at first. He just stared at her face. Then the tears came, not gentle tears, violent, ugly sobs that shook his small body. Around him, snow fell gently, as if the world didn't care that a boy just lost everything, as if nothing had happened. He sat hugging her body until his legs went numb. Other survivors walked past. Some stopped. Some shook their heads and kept walking. No one could help. No one had anything left to give. Eventually, Artyom stood up. His mother told him to survive, so he would, even if it killed him. For days he wandered through snow and ruins. No food, no water. He ate snow when his throat burned. He slept in destroyed buildings. At night, wolves howled. Sometimes he heard German soldiers laughing. He hid in basements. Death was getting closer, but he kept moving, one foot in front of the other, survive. Then he saw them. A long column of soldiers, tanks covered in snow, horses pulling artillery. The Red Army. Artyom's heart pounded. He ran toward them. His legs screamed in pain, but he didn't stop. He had found his only chance. "Take me with you," he shouted. "I want to fight." The soldiers laughed. "You're a child, go home, this is no place for boys." But Artyom didn't move. He stood there, shaking from cold and hunger. Then the regiment commander walked over. He looked into the boy's eyes. What he saw wasn't fear, it was fire, hatred, courage, something that reminded him of himself. The commander knelt down. "What's your name, son?" "Artyom." "Where is your family?" "Dead." "All dead." The commander was silent for a long moment. Then he stood up and said, "All right, son. From now on, you are the son of our regiment." That day, Artyom found a new family. They gave him an old soldier's uniform, too big, but he wore it with pride. They gave him warm food, hot soup, real bread. For the first time in many days, his stomach stopped hurting. That night, he fell asleep under a real blanket. Full, warm, not alone anymore, he finally felt something close to hope. In his first battle, fear took over. Bullets flew over his head like angry bees. Explosions shook the ground. His heart pounded so hard he thought it would burst. But he didn't run. He thought of his mother, her last words. "Survive." He crawled through the snow to help wounded soldiers. He was no longer just a boy. At night, he went on reconnaissance missions, deep into the forest. Alone. The cold was so intense it hurt to breathe. He lay in the snow for hours, watching enemy camps. His body froze. His fingers went numb, but he never moved. Never made a sound. He was becoming something dangerous. One day, he crawled to the top of a hill. What he saw made his blood run cold. Nearly 3,000 German soldiers, tanks, artillery, heavy weapons, moving toward his regiment. If they attacked without warning, everyone would die. He had to get back, fast. He turned and ran 12 kilometers through deep snow. His lungs burned. His legs screamed. Snow filled his boots, but he didn't stop. He ran like death was chasing him, because it was. He fell, got up. Fell again, got up again, 12 kilometers in freezing cold. A 12-year-old boy, running to save men twice his age. Running because his mother asked him to survive. He made it back, gasping, collapsing. He delivered the information. The commander's face went pale. Within hours, Soviet artillery destroyed the enemy column. Hundreds of German soldiers died. Artyom saved the entire regiment. The commander hugged him with tears in his eyes. "You are a hero, my son." For the first time, Artyom smiled. From that day on, everyone called him son of the regiment. He wasn't just a boy anymore. He was a soldier. Men twice his age saluted him. He carried messages under fire, dragged wounded men from battle, stopped their blood with his own hands. He did things no child should ever have to do. On freezing nights, he lay in the snow for hours, observing enemy positions, his whole body shaking, his teeth chattering, but he never moved, never made a sound. He found enemy mines so soldiers wouldn't step on them. He became the eyes and ears of the regiment. Soldiers said, "This boy fights better than adults." He delivered ammunition to snipers at the most dangerous moments. Bullets flying past his head, he didn't flinch. He ran through fields of dead bodies. He saw things no child should see, but he kept going. His mother's voice lived in his head. "Survive, my son." So he survived, and he fought. Even in hell, he never lost hope. He told the soldiers stories, made them laugh, kept their spirits up. He was their lucky charm, their little brother, their son. They protected him, but sometimes he protected them too. He was 12 years old, but his heart was older than all of them combined. One day, during a major battle, a bullet hit his leg. He fell. Blood poured into the snow, red on white, beautiful and terrible. He dragged himself behind a destroyed tank. He tore his shirt and wrapped the wound. He didn't cry, he didn't scream, he just kept breathing. In, out, survive. They took him to a field hospital. Doctors worked on his leg while he bit down on a piece of wood. No anesthesia, no morphine, just pain. He didn't make a sound. The doctor looked at him and said, "This boy has the soul of a lion." Artyom just closed his eyes and thought of his mother. In the hospital, he didn't stay idle. He comforted other wounded children, boys younger than him, boys who had lost everything too. He told them stories about victory, about peace, about the day the war would end. "We will win," he said. "My mother is watching me from heaven. I will return to her as a winner." His wound healed slowly, but as soon as he could walk, he ran back to the front line. The soldiers cheered when they saw him. "The son is back," they shouted. Artyom smiled. He was home, not the home he was born in. That home was gone, but this was his family now, his regiment, spring 1943. The biggest battle of the war began. The enemy attacked with everything they had, tanks, planes, thousands of soldiers. The regiment was surrounded, outnumbered, running out of ammunition. Someone had to get a message to headquarters. Someone had to run through enemy lines. Artyom volunteered. No one could stop him. The commander looked at him. "You don't have to do this, son." Artyom looked back. "Yes, I do. My mother didn't raise a coward." He took the message, put it inside his shirt near his heart. Then he ran. Bullets rained behind him. German soldiers chased him, shouting. Shooting, he didn't look back. A bullet hit his shoulder. He stumbled, almost fell, but he kept running. Another bullet hit his side. The pain was unbelievable, like fire inside his body. But he refused to fall. He thought of his mother. Her face, her voice. "Survive, my son." He ran faster. The headquarters was close, so close. He burst through the door, gasping, bleeding. He handed the message to the officer. "My regiment, surrounded, need reinforcements." Then his legs gave out. He collapsed on the floor. The officer read the message and shouted orders. Soldiers ran to help, but Artyom didn't see any of it. He was already somewhere else. He lay on his back looking up at the ceiling. Then through a broken window, he saw the sky. Blue, peaceful, like the sky over his village before the war. Tears fell from his eyes, but he was smiling. A gentle, peaceful smile. He whispered something. No one heard it, but his lips said, "Mama, I'm coming home." The doctors tried to save him. They worked for hours, but there was too much damage, too much blood loss. One bullet had pierced his lung. Another was near his heart. A 12-year-old body cannot survive that. The doctor closed his eyes and stepped back. "He's gone," he said. Grown men cried that day. Soldiers, hard men, they cried. Artyom died on that battlefield. He was 12 years old, but because of his courage, thousands of Soviet soldiers survived. Reinforcements arrived. The enemy was pushed back. The regiment lived to fight another day, all because a boy refused to give up. All because a mother told her son to survive. And he did, until the very end. This is not just the story of one boy. This is the story of millions, millions of Soviet children who lost their childhood, who grew up in war, who fought like lions. They carried ammunition, dragged the wounded, went on reconnaissance, and gave their lives for victory. They were not soldiers by choice. They were soldiers by necessity. Their names are not in history books. Most of them are forgotten, buried in unmarked graves, or not buried at all, just bones in a forest somewhere. but their courage lives on, in every child who survives something terrible, in every person who refuses to give up. They are the reason we are here today. The commander who adopted Artyom survived the war. He lived to be an old man. Every year on the anniversary of that battle, he visited Artyom's grave. He would sit there for hours, talking to the boy, telling him about his life, about his children, about peace, and every time he would cry, every single time. Years later, the commander wrote a letter. It said, "Artyom was not my son by blood, but he was my son by war. He taught me what courage really means. It's not the absence of fear. It's doing what's right even when you're terrified." That boy was terrified, but he never stopped. Never. I miss him every day. The village where Artyom was born was rebuilt after the war. New houses, new families, new children playing in the streets, but the old people remember. They remember the winter of 1942. They remember the bombs, and they remember the boy who became a soldier. There is a small monument there now, a boy in a soldier's uniform. On that monument, someone carved these words: "To the sons of the regiment, to the children who became soldiers, to the ones who never came home, you are not forgotten. Your sacrifice bought our freedom. Sleep well, little ones. Your watch is over. We will remember. We will always remember." Every year, people leave flowers. Artyom was one of many, but his story is every story. Every child who picked up a weapon because there was no one else. Every child who saw their parents die and kept going. Every child who grew up too fast, who learned to hate, who learned to kill, who learned to die. This is their story. This is our history. They called them sons of the regiment. Thousands of them, boys as young as 8. Girls too, though history forgets them. They served as scouts, messengers, medics, sometimes soldiers. They lived in the trenches, died in the mud. Their average age was 12. Their average lifespan once they joined the front line was about 3 months. One of them, a boy named Sasha, was only 9. He carried water to soldiers under fire. A sniper shot him while he was filling his canteen. He died saying, "Tell my mama I wasn't scared." Another boy, Misha, was 10. He crawled through a minefield to save a wounded officer. He made it. The officer lived. Misha stepped on a mine on the way back. Some survived, they grew up, had families, lived normal lives, but they never forgot. They carried the war inside them forever. Nightmares, flashbacks, guilt, survivor's guilt. Why did I live when my friends died? They never found an answer. There is no answer. There is only the war, and the silence after, and the memories that never stop. The war ended in 1945. The world celebrated. People danced in the streets. But in the forests of Eastern Europe, in the fields of Russia, in the hills of Ukraine, there were still bones. Small bones. Children's bones. No one came to collect them. No one came to say sorry. They just stayed there, in the mud, in the snow. Forgotten today, most people don't know about the sons of the regiment. History classes don't teach it. Movies don't show it. But the story is real, every word of it. Thousands of children dead before they could drive. Dead before their first kiss. Dead before they could grow up. All for a war they didn't start, all for a future they would never see. Artyom's mother once told him, "Tomorrow will be better." She was wrong. Tomorrow was worse. And the day after that was worse. And the day after that he died. But she wasn't really wrong. Because of him, because of all of them, tomorrow was better for us. We are there tomorrow. We are the reason they fought. We are the reason they died. So when you see a child today, playing, laugh, crying over homework, complaining about dinner, remember Artyom, remember Sasha, remember Misha, remember all of them. They never complained about dinner. They never did homework. They never played. They fought, they bled, they died. So you could have your tomorrow, so you could be free. Their courage, their sacrifice, and their love for the people they lost helped us live in peace today. Their names will never be forgotten. Not by us. Not by our children. Not by our children's children. They are the sons of the regiment. And this was their story. Share it, remember it, honor it, because forgetting them would be the greatest betrayal of all.